I'm Shaun Haney, and this is RealAg on the Weekend. Let's get real and get connected with the week that was in Canadian agriculture. RealAg on the Weekend starts now. Welcome to RealAg on the Weekend. I'm your host, Shaun Haney of RealAgriculture.com. I want to wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody out there in the RealAg on the Weekend audience. Over the holiday season, I encourage you to check out RealAgriculture.com and keep up to date on what's happening in agriculture. Okay, today we got a bit of a special treat for you. You heard me talk before about the RealAg Radio podcast and the Farmer Rapid Fire we do on Thursdays that is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And what we do is we travel across the country and we talk to farmers in their fields and their barns, on the ranch, and just find out how they're making out. What are some of the things they're working on? What are some of their concerns? How do they see the landscape right now? Just really have some fun conversations. So what we're going to do here today is I'm going to bring you some of the last conversations that I have had with producers from Saskatchewan. Okay, so we got Keith Fournier joining us. We got Kris, Scott Hepworth, and Cherilyn, all of Saskatchewan. And we're going to dig in and find out how they're making out and what some of the things are that they are thinking about as we head into 2024 and close out 2023. Let's start off with a conversation with Keith Fournier. He is from Lone Rock, Saskatchewan, and I chatted with him this week.
Hey, it's going good. Thanks, Shaun.
There's just one rock there. Is that correct? Just one?
I wish there was only one rock there, but I've pulled a few more of that off the fields in the past few years.
So how did the town get its name then? Like, is there one big rock?
Well, there is a rock that they've got there, and I think it's for display. But I'm not sure how that came up. That was long before my time, and it's probably when the railroads come through and someone was searching for a name. But yeah, I'm not sure the history of that one.
No, interesting. Okay, so hey, what's happening on the farm this week?
Just doing some books. Brought in. Just got some grain cleaned up and finished dumping the last of the seed wheat into the bin here this morning, and got the auger reversed out and all cleaned up and put away again. So just getting stuff lined up for spring.
Oh, look at you being Mr. Prepared.
Yeah, just taking advantage of this, nice weather we've got, not having to deal with the snow, and it's pretty nice working outside these days.
Yeah, it has been a very, very mild winter so far. We've had little bits and spurts of, more wintry weather, but for the most part, it's been pretty mild. Not your traditional Canadian winter, let's say, that maybe we all romantically remember when we were kids, right?
Yeah, I could handle a winter, though, that maybe isn't a white Christmas. After last winter, by this time, we were wondering where we were going to put the snow. We had bins that we couldn't even, get plowed out without hauling snow from them. And so, yeah, it's a real treat to be able to work out in the yard with these temperatures and not have to deal with the snow.
It wasn't too many Christmases ago. We had a big family Christmas out at the farm. And it was like all week, like minus 40. Like it was, right where Celsius and Fahrenheit connect. That's cold. And I had the septic tank freeze. I had my water cistern. It was so cold that a latch froze and I couldn't get water into my house. It was like, this is the worst. And I got a house full of people. It was a nightmare when it's that cold.
Yeah, no, we definitely can appreciate what we've got. I think we've all ran into situations like that. And yeah, and they're memories, but I'm not so sure we want to relive those memories.
Yeah, that's totally correct. Okay, so any big plans for changes for 2024?
No, not really. Just got the rotation set. So, the same crops will be going in. It's going to change up some of the varieties, like change up on a couple of the canola varieties, and probably look for, some more of the one or two of the newer wheat varieties, just to give them a try on the farm, see what they're like. And so other than that, probably not a whole lot for changes.
Yeah, how were your yields this past year?
We were pretty lucky. I still don't know how we grew the crop we did on 5 inches of moisture, but, we came in near some of the best yields that we've ever had. And, so definitely met our targets that we had set when we put that crop in the ground. And so we were fortunate in that way.
Yeah, well, that's good. Hey, do you see yesterday, it's Tuesday, the Canadian government announced all passenger vehicles got to be electric by 2035. How's that going to go over in Lone Rock?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, for one thing, I threw out a deadline, and I just can't see. We're in no way are we going to be prepared to be able to meet that deadline. So they're going to end up having to bump it back, and so I'd be more worried about it if I knew that we'd have to meet it. But it's just another situation where it just causes some worry of what's going to go forward. It's just the unpredictability sometimes of government policy that comes down that affects how we're going to have to do business on the farm here.
Yeah. I tweeted out earlier this week that, I have considered getting an EV car because I live in the city now, and, I got to drive to the studio and then drive back home. It's like a 10-minute drive each way. That's the perfect scenario for an EV. That's like the perfect market. But if I've got to drive from Lethbridge to Lone Rock and back, I'll be okay with my gas-powered engine. Thank you very much. Have you ordered a Tesla truck? Have you done that?
No, that hasn't even been on my radar to think about a Tesla truck.
Yeah, me neither. They look a little like a DeLorean on steroids, but yeah.
I have a solar panel in the yard here, and I use it for, I heat the house on electricity, and, it works really well with Sask power being my battery, and I don't have to have batteries here, so I could put the electricity in and pull it out when I need it, so that part works good. I'm not so sure, though, in the wintertime when that solar panel is just not kicking out much power, whether it would work if I wasn't hooked up to the grid.
Yeah, and I just think about the infrastructure required, right? The volume of charging stations required to meet this kind of a mandate by 2035. I'm kind of like you, Keith. I've refused to be outraged because I just don't believe it's going to be something we have to really worry about. It's a number on the board, political messaging for really a government losing a lot of popularity. If you look at some of the polls out there, for sure. Hey, before we wrap up, any big plans for Christmas?
Yeah, no, it's going to be. Just spend that time with family and some friends and a few get-togethers, and just make it a social time. We're sticking pretty close to home, and unfortunately, a lot of our family is close around here too. And so it's just a family time and a relaxing time to get together.
Absolutely. Well, Keith, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and we'll talk to you again in 2024, my friend.
Okay, that sounds great, Shaun. Thank you.
We got 3 more stops here talking to producers across Saskatchewan here on RealAg on the weekend. You're listening to 650 CKOM and 980 CGME.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today.
There's a reason we call it the Corn School. Videos on everything from planter setup to weed control, field trial results, and the latest yield strategies. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com has the information and advice you need to help you succeed. Brought to you by Pride Seeds and BASF. Corn School episodes are available at cornschool.com, from RealAgriculture.com, or as a podcast in your favorite podcast app. Check out the latest Corn School episode today.
Seeking professional advice for your farm and business? M&P's team of agriculture specialists cover it all, from business planning and tax guidance to financial projections, farm succession, and risk management. Visit mnp.ca to connect with the experts today. Well, we continue our conversations with farmers across Saskatchewan. Let's hear from Kris Marley, who farms by Tisdale.
This week we're hauling a little bit of grain, cleaning seed. We got the seed clean plant's been running for about a month now. We have no snow up here in northeast Saskatchewan, which is very rare for December.
Yeah.
And so we're still doing some field work. The cat and the hoe have been working steady for a couple of months, cleaning up some tree piles and rock piles and some old sloughs and a couple old yard sites that we farm around now. We're cleaning up. So, yeah, we've been busy doing those kind of jobs. We're, we got some maintenance going on in the shop as well. So, yeah, it's still busy, even though it's getting close to the middle of December. And, last week we were supposed to get 20 centimeters of snow and ended up with 3/4 of an inch of rain. It rained all day on December the 7th.
That's weird.
Never heard of it up in this country. We had water running down the ditches.
Do you have somebody, do you own your own track hoe to do that work?
Yeah, we do. We have a cat and a track hoe that we've had for quite a few years that didn't do that. So yeah, the guys on the farm are doing all that work ourselves.
That's a fun job. It's like it takes you back to your sandbox days where you had your little hoe and you the levers. Yeah. It's fun to run it, eh?
Yeah, I think the guys that are doing that are having some fun doing that. So yeah, we've been mulching some trees up. We have a mulcher too, so cleaning up some of those tree rows so we can actually farm through them next year. So, but it's probably getting a little too frozen for that. So that job stopped about a week ago.
It's actually mind-boggling to watch somebody because there's using a track hoe with a grapple to pick up trees and dump them in a truck. That I could do that. It's the people that run those hoes and they're doing finishing work where they're scraping on angles and they're doing the really, really fine stuff. It is amazing to watch them. Yeah,
some of those guys have got a lot of skills. They've been doing it for a lot of years and have lots of practice.
I saw
that is not me.
No, I saw on TV once. I don't know, it was like a forklift driving championship. It was crazy. It was amazing. It was I'm pretty good running a forklift. I'm not that good.
Yeah. But it's crazy what some of those competitions they have. They're pretty good.
I saw a boat yesterday on Instagram. I saw a boat docking championship.
Really?
Yeah.
They'll do anything to get viewers. Jeez.
The guy was pretty good. It was pretty good. That's crazy you don't have any snow. You got to be a little bit concerned about that. Obviously, that's really taken a cut out of your sledding time, but it's also probably a little bit concerning on the moisture front.
It is actually. We have soil probes scattered throughout the farm here, and when we pulled all those probes out just prior to freeze up at the end of October, most of our fields are drier today than they were at the end of 2021 after what everyone thought was the big drought year. And we're drier today than we were there. We have some fields that are less than a half an inch of moisture in the top 100 centimeters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we're quite dry. So yeah, not having any snow is a bit concerning. I mean, it really comes down to obviously the rainfall. We can make all that up with rain through the growing season, but yeah, normally we bank on a bit of moisture from the snow melt in the spring and the runoff to fill dugouts, and there's a lot of dugouts that are pretty low here in this country because we've been dry kind of 3 years in a row now. And so, yeah, missing the snow for the moisture side and for the recreation side, there's a lot of us like to do some snowmobiling in the winter, and if it's going to be winter, we might as well have snow. But yeah, this year it looks like we're going to have a brown Christmas. Which will be, I think, 98 was the last year that we had a brown Christmas here.
Really? Well, that's quite a while. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. Yeah,
it's a regular thing in Lethbridge. So we're more like when's the last time we had a white Christmas?
And here, like normally, like I said, the last 4 or 5 years we've had a foot of snow by the Remembrance Day weekend. So this is quite an anomaly this year to not have any snow, but it does make it for hauling grain and moving seed around, and we picked all our grain bags have been picked up already, so that's a job that we don't have to do when it does snow. So for those kind of jobs, this has been an awesome fall that way, and it's been warm. We haven't had any cold weather yet either. So.
Yeah, that's been really, really mild. It's we're off to a odd sort of start here to what we'll call winter based on what the calendar says, but it definitely doesn't feel like that outside. No, that's right. Depending on where you are. How's planning going for 24?
Pretty good. I mean, all the crop plans are in place. Some of our, new seed varieties are getting in place already. Canola was ordered, fertilizer. Most of it's on the farm already. Some of it's still waiting for some of it. So, yeah, planning's it's done its first round. I'll probably look at some of the crops I'm planting and maybe change some things up based on where commodity prices look like they're going or demand is going, come another month or two down the road. But kind of plans are all in place already. And so, I feel pretty good about next year, other than like we talked about earlier, a little bit more moisture in the ground would be. Yeah. We'll be looking for that for a good start anyway. So.
You're a seed retailer, so any insight into what's any sort of crop type that's kind of hot, people are calling a lot about, or is that not really started yet?
It has been really slow this fall. Typically, we'd have a lot more interest in seed or pre-purchases done by customers, and this year has been just really slow. There's nothing that I would say is hot. And nothing that's getting called about. There's a few orders on the books, but it is way behind normal at this time.
Why is that?
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of thinking a little bit. Commodity prices have been almost on a downward slide the last month and a half to 2 months. With a couple blips here and there, but I think a lot of guys maybe haven't made a full decision on what they're going to grow next year. Or maybe on a variety that they're of say a wheat or a barley that they might grow, but there's not a lot of new crop pricing that's been attractive, so that hasn't really got guys kind of off their couch to say, okay, I'm going to grow a bunch of barley next year. I'm going to grow a bunch of wheat or oats, just orders are slow, and it seems to be kind of the norm in the seed retail community. It's kind of the same story for everybody. It's just a slow fall that way.
You mentioned the cleaning plant's fired up. It's got to be kind of nice to be cleaning seed with some milder temperatures, though, because, a lot of these seed plants, it could be about 10 degrees Celsius colder in the plant than it is outside. So it's not too bad right now.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty nice for that. And it's allowed us to get all our pulses done early in nice weather. And, they just handle a lot better when it's, 0 or +2 or 3 instead of -15 or 20. And, stuff runs better, less breakdowns. Augers start easy, trucks start easy, all that stuff. It's not hard being outside on these days. It's +3 here today. So it's a beautiful day for December the 13th.
Wow. Quite unusual. Unusual.
Yeah, unusual.
Hey, Kris, Merry Christmas to you, and we'll chat with you again in the new year, okay?
Yeah, you bet. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well.
There's a few places they're going to have a white Christmas, but it seems like predominantly so it's going to be a brown in many areas of not just Saskatchewan, but the prairies here when it comes to Christmas time. Okay, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've got 2 more conversations we're going to have. We've got Scott Hepworth and Jolly-Nagel coming up here on RealAg on the weekend, 650 CKOM and 980 CGME.
The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com is your one-stop shop for everything a canola grower needs. check out our free video series on YouTube for all the latest in canola agronomy, research, marketing, and more. Don't have time to watch? Download the podcast version of the Canola School on RealAgriculture.com or anywhere you download your podcasts. Stay on top of all things canola with the Canola School on RealAgriculture.com, brought to you by BASF and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
The next generation is the future of agriculture, but how do we launch from one role to leading? From succession planning and family dynamics to understanding finances and making the tough calls to discovering paths others have taken all through agriculture, the Successors Podcast covers it all. Tune in with me, your host, Kara Oosterhuis, simply by searching The Successors on your favorite podcast platform, or you can find it by visiting www.realagriculture.com.
Whether you're seeding, harvesting, or anything in between, the Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com has you covered. Timely agronomic information from industry experts available online anytime. Give your wheat crop a good start and a great finish with the Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com, brought to you by C&M Seeds, Syngenta Canada, and the Alberta Wheat and Barley Commission.
Sask Canola is excited to announce the launch of its new communication platform. It's an interactive texting service. Farmers who subscribe can expect to receive weekly oilseed market outlook reports, weekly newsletters, plus event notices and urgent news and alerts. Keep up to date with the information that you need from Sask Canola. To subscribe, text keyword Sask Canola to 1-877-241-7044. Okay, let's continue on with conversations with farmers across the province. We're playing some clips from recent Farmer Rapid Fires on the Real Ag Radio podcast. And next we're going to stop in Assiniboia, Saskatchewan, and we're going to hear a conversation that I had with Scott Hepworth from a couple weeks ago.
Good, Shaun. How are you?
Pretty good. Well, I would ask you what's going on the farm this week, but you're kind of on the road. I ran into you earlier this week in Regina for the APAS meeting, and now you're in Banff at Prairie Cereal Summit. So you're a road warrior this week.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks here with some meetings and taking in some conferences, either before or after them. I've kind of been following you around a little bit. It feels like was in Calgary the week before for Grow Canada and some Grain Growers of Canada board meetings. So yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks here away from the farm.
And you're on the board of Sask Wheat, so that's a part of the reason why you've been out and about. Well, I guess what's been sort of your takeaway from some of the meetings you've been at? What are some of your perceptions?
Well, I think a lot of people are cautiously optimistic. It sounds like the story is pretty familiar across Western Canada as far as crops of last year. Some were better than expected. Some were worse than expected. But everyone's kind of looking at next year with some cautious optimism. So that's always nice. And I feel as though that's kind of how I'm approaching next year with the crop plan that I'm working on right now. So, yeah.
How are things back home in Assiniboia? What's the moisture situation like?
Well, it's dry. I think it's as dry as we can possibly get. We have had some snow this fall that melted quickly with these warm temperatures. I think yesterday it was 14 degrees at home. So it's been a strange fall, and the snowfall we've gotten hasn't been enough to carry a crop through next year. So as always, we're going to rely heavily on in-season rainfall next year again. So hopefully the cycle will change sooner than later, but I'm going from a next year country to kind of maybe next year country. So it's, we need some help.
Yeah. So has it impacted your crop plan at all at this point, or is that kind of a way too early to sort of make some big adjustments in that regard?
No, it's definitely impacting my crop plan for next year. We're waiting for some more soil tests, but I'm getting short of land to seed lentils or pulses in general on, just due to the high levels of nitrogen left over from last year's crop. I was overly optimistic in our moisture situation, I think, last year at seeding time, and when the tap turned off, the crop basically turned off at the same time, and we have pretty high levels of nitrogen across the farm. So I'm pretty cautious on putting any lentils, especially on a lot of that land. So it's looking like it could be a 2-crop season for me next year, which will be the first time in a long time. Basically mostly cereals and some canola. But no, it's definitely making an impact on my crop plan right now for sure.
Definitely simplifies things from an operations perspective, I guess.
Yeah, it does. Crop spraying might be a little bit easier next year, and everything in general when you're down to 2-crop seed plan. But it is what it is. I kind of rolled the dice a couple of years ago, putting some pulses on some ground that had high levels of nitrogen, and I definitely paid the price. So I don't want to make that mistake again. But we are soil testing quite extensively and trying to find some areas that we can put some pulses on just for rotation. And I mean, the price of large grain lentils is quite strong right now, even new crop for next year. So that should be a good sign, but I just can't get excited about growing them right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Are you typically somebody that does, I know why you're doing the soil test to figure what the nitrogen level is, because you're trying to, figure out that crop plan. Do you usually soil test every year, or how do you manage that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we do it as extensively as we are this year every year.
Yeah.
But we've been soil testing quite regularly for my entire career, honestly.
Are you a zone sampler or a grid sampler?
Oh, well, zone, I would say now. Yeah. We've moved into using SWOT maps. So we're targeting specific zones for sure now.
Yeah. See, it seems to be, I don't know, I don't have any data on it, but just anecdotally talking to producers, seems like more and more people are doing zones now as opposed to some of the grids like they were previously. I don't know. That's just my perception. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. I know I listen to the Hefty brothers there on RealAg radio quite often, and their soil sampling is quite extensive, and I would actually kind of try and take a field and get some smaller grid sampling, smaller zone sampling done, just to see the results. But as a rule, I think most guys are doing pretty large zone sampling, yeah.
Yeah. Now, how about in prep for 24? Any changes in the farm from a machinery standpoint, or is kind of same as what you did last year?
Same as what we did last year. Well, we did get a new rock picker. I think the first brand new rock picker we ever bought, so that's exciting.
Nice.
Excited to use that next year. But otherwise, we updated our drill last year, and I think our equipment is capable of everything I need it to do for next season. And just seeing, I mean, I'm not too excited to spend much cash on equipment right now, with the cost of it for one thing, and then, I mean, the declining price of our commodities right now. It's going to be one of those low margin years, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think that's, from a cautious optimism standpoint, the way you described it, like what we've seen in our Canadian Farmer Sentiment Index is farmers relatively negative about their future farm financial performance, though that can change, and we've seen that change based on, if Mother Nature cooperates, you'd have a lift in the optimism. Indeed, I think there's just people have seen those commodity prices decline, and they've seen their costs hold, relatively speaking. Now, there has been a dip in some of the costs, but it's still relatively high, and it's that margin compression that people are a little bit worried about when you don't know what the weather's going to bring, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and speaking with quite a few farmers from across Western Canada the past couple of weeks, I think everyone's feeling the exact same way. It's hard to ignore at this point in time. And then one thing to include in that, with the margin compression, I mean, the risk level is still the same as well, or it heightens as that compression happens. So that's where, the caution comes in. But there is still a thin line there where, we should be able to do it for another year.
Yep. Live to fight another day. Well, hey, I'll let you get back. You're at Prairie Cereal Summit today there in Banff. Enjoy the sights, enjoy the meeting, and say hello to everybody that you run into there from us, okay?
I will do that for you, Shaun. Thank you.
We've got one more stop on this journey across Saskatchewan. When we come back, we're going to stop in Mossbank, Saskatchewan. We're going to talk to Jolly-Nagel. You're listening to RealAg on the Weekend here on 650 CKOM and 980 CGME.
I'm Lindsay Smith from RealAgriculture.com. Join me Monday nights for The Agronomist, a 1-hour live and interactive show broadcast across YouTube, Facebook, and X. Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, I host expert agronomists from all over the country to give you answers to some of the toughest agronomic questions. Join us live or catch the replay Tuesday morning. That's The Agronomist with me, Lindsay Smith, Monday nights live at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin, host of the Soybean School on RealAgriculture.com. Throughout the year, on the Soybean School, we'll bring you timely agronomic video content from planting to harvest, from the latest agronomic research to the latest in production technology. Check out our massive video library on YouTube, RealAgriculture.com, or download the audio podcast versions wherever you get your podcasts. The Soybean School is brought to you by Pride Seeds, BASF, and Syngenta Canada.
You know, just like your own health, your crops need regular maintenance and frequent checkups to ensure optimum healthy conditions. Farm Command from Farmer's Edge is your digital field assistant where you can track your applications and be notified of crop health changes. Visit farmersedge.ca/farmcommand to book a demo. Okay, our last stop on this trip across Saskatchewan is we're going to be in Mossbank beside Old Wives Lake, and we're talking to Cherilyn-Nagel. Here's the conversation.
Good morning, Shaun. I'm great. Thanks.
Yes. What's happening on the farm this week? What's going on?
Oh, well, I'm looking at a little skiff of snow, and that makes me pretty happy. It's not what we need for the whole winter, but we've had a couple little spurts. Some, half-inch shot of rain followed by some snow. So that's actually feeling really good. We're sitting in a better position. So, yeah, looking at some moisture. Equipment, field work, all the usual stuff that everybody's going through. We got our seed cleaned. Yeah, kind of checking things off the list.
Field work still going on, not complete yet?
Is it ever complete?
Well, good question.
I don't know that you can. Yeah, it's never really complete. But we put up, made a new bin yard this year, an addition to the bin yard. So there's a little bit of
nice
stuff going on over there, and yeah, good stuff.
Okay, so the big flat bottom bins or hoppers, or what'd you do?
Hopper bottom. So it depends if we're going to throw the kids in them. You know what? That reminds me, we were trying to show the kids what things used to be like. We always like to drag our kids down memory lane.
Yeah.
And trying to explain to them, what the grain back and stepping in and around those square bottom bins with the grain back. They didn't love the idea of future farmers. When we talked to them about that. No, the new ones that we put up are nice big bins and, nice easy clean bins.
Yeah. Well, things like concrete ain't cheap either, right?
No, they're really not. No,
there's the bin cost and then there's the concrete cost.
Yeah. Well, we did some gravel exploration. David, he's always trying to, come up with some new projects. And we had a chunk of land that he was pretty sure had some gravel in it. So we did some excavating over there and found some gravel and got that sorted out. And so it's been kind of a fun project to work on. So we have some gravel for ourselves, some of our yards, and the new bin yard. So that was kind of a fun project to work on.
I as you're talking about shoveling flat bottom bins, I was kind of getting sort of it was getting itchy. I have a terrible allergy to barley dust, for example. And I remember
David's allergic to everything.
Yeah, as a kid, being in that flat bottom bin and shoveling. Ugh. Yeah. I remember when we got the grain back, it was sort of like, oh my goodness, where has this thing been my entire life?
Yeah, you're right. I was talking about the grain back, that was the initial method. But you're right, it was shovel before that and then grain back. And then when you get sweaty, it's even better because the dust likes to stick to it.
The worst. Do you have any?
I think we should do a survey about how many farmers are allergic to the things that they grow.
Yeah, it's sort of like being a beekeeper and being allergic to the bees.
Anaphylactic. Yeah. David came in yesterday because both girls like hunting. Both Claire and Allison are hunters, so it's deer hunting season. And David was out helping Claire, cut up the buck that she got, and just absolutely broke out. He's definitely allergic to deer hair as well. So he just keeps putting himself in these terrible situations. I'm like, you don't have to do this anymore. But off he goes. It's an amazing dad.
Does hunting kind of take over a lot of the activity? Because it's a relatively short season. So how big of a deal is it in the household?
Oh, since the girls were little, well, since David was little, he's been a hunter, both ducks and geese. And, we ran a duck and geese hunting lodge for 10 years or more, David and I and his mom and dad and his brother. And then, buck hunting in the fall. And when you bring your kids through that kind of tradition, then they're either going to love it or hate it. And both of our girls really, truly love it. But if that's also coinciding at the time where David doesn't really want to do it anymore. Yeah. So he's really put himself in a position where the girls love it. And it's an amazing, family experience to go out, set up the decoys, lay in a blind. We've got relatives and hunters that come every year. So we have a good time doing that. But man, it is a lot more work in your 40s than it was in our 20s.
Yeah, no kidding. Crawl around in your belly like, what am I doing here? Have you ever done?
Well, there's not a lot of belly. There's not a lot of belly crawl.
Okay.
No, there's not a lot of that.
Have you done any big trips, like gone like to hunt mountain goat or anything like that, or like on a bear hunt? Because that would be terrifying.
No, never done anything like that. If I'm being honest, and just between you and me and the audience, Shaun,
100%.
David's getting soft.
Oh, David's getting soft.
He's not loving this anymore. He's not even loving the hunting anymore. It better be a really worthwhile buck. And we've always been very respectful of the animals and taught the kids that too. We come full circle and make the sausage, the kind of that whole circle of life. But yep. He is getting soft. He's really getting soft when it relates to shooting animals. Poor guy.
You know what? I have never been hunting. And I like what? I know. I've been fishing.
Is it
a ton.
In opposition to it?
No, definitely not. Like we were not a family of hunters.
Okay.
But yeah. Like I'm also a terrible shot. I'm a terrible. Oh. I was skeet shooting last summer. I'm glad. Good thing I'm not in the Wild West.
You wouldn't survive?
I wouldn't survive.
We've got some Annie Oakleys in this family. Seriously, some pretty good shots. Well, the girls both did biathlon through the winter.
Oh, my goodness.
For a number of years pre-COVID. And so I think they're shooting like a loony size at 50 yards or something like that. So, yeah, they have a pretty good shot.
My sister's a great shot. My sister's a great shot. Like, and with a rifle or a handgun. Like, she is, she shot a lot. My dad and her would go to the backyard and stuff like that. Like, the things that we do on the farm. And
you were left to dial in your radio?
I was just not very good at it. Yeah, I was left to dial the radio. He talks. Let him talk.
You're building your own radio stations and your own frequencies.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. What else is going on?
Come out then.
I would love to.
Lots of travel for work. I love being on the speaking circuit. Now that COVID has reduced all of those restrictions, then I'm back at it and really truly loving it. And everything from, last week I was in Winkler, Manitoba, and had a really great time giving a keynote there. And then coming up here in December, I'm headed to Japan, going to Tokyo to talk at a biotech conference there. And I've taken the family with me. They don't often get to travel with me, and they didn't choose to come to Winkler, but they were busy in their defense. But Japan, we're doing it. We're going to go as a family. And I've even incorporated them into the presentation.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you have the same experience as I do. I'm going to some places like, no, Dad, I'll pass. Or, my wife just like, no, I'm good. But if I'm going to like, Kentucky, or I'm going to Houston, or like, close somewhere close to Disney, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm coming. Oh, yeah, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, I want to be supportive of you.
Yeah.
When you're going to someplace cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, go to Tokyo. Have you ever been to Japan?
I have. It was 18 years ago, almost exactly. I was pregnant with Claire, with my oldest. I went to Hong Kong to the WTO negotiations with the wheat growers. Yeah. And then I had a friend that was living in Tokyo, and I, took a quick little flight over to visit with her too. So probably a vastly different Tokyo than what I'm about to see. But yeah, we're going to take a bullet train and go to Hiroshima. Oh, I'm quite interested in the energy sector. So we're going to go out and do that too. Learn a little bit more about the history of nuclear.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in to RealAg on the weekend. Make sure you go to RealAgriculture.com. Have yourselves a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you again in 2024.